it was during lockdown, I believe. And it was post, we'd done a session with you at Radley, which I had never done yoga before, like literally never, ever done a single class. And I loved it. And I loved, if I'm being honest, I loved the way you delivered the class, and I loved the honesty that you had when you said, it doesn't matter if you wobble, because I was one of those people that I didn't turn my screen on because I was so embarrassed, one, about standing in yoga gear, and two, about potentially falling over onto my ass, or worse, my forehead, and doing myself some damage. And I thought, oh, I can't. But you literally took all of that out in the first class, and I thought, okay, this is great. And then when I heard that you had a class, and I joined that, and then when you said about the tribe, I thought, this is definitely something that I want to be part of. At that point in my life, I wasn't in part of any group. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't have anything outside of my work and my kids, bringing up my two children. I had nothing for myself. And my work, as a lot of women in sort of senior leadership roles, work probably 10 hours a day, if not longer. So trying to find that time for something is quite hard. And because obviously in the lead up to the tribe starting, I'd been doing the yoga with you all the time, it just felt like I definitely want to be part of this, because I love the fact that I've carved out that 1 hour a week anyway. And actually, if this builds into a bigger group that is synonymous with the things that started to play in my head anyway, like, what was going on in my head, I'd never given my mental health any consideration whatsoever. Certainly not in my work, and certainly not in my personal life. I was quite conscious of getting older, which always brings a certain level of, okay, so I should probably start looking after myself moment. But I guess the timing of that thought process that I was going through, and you launching this group, I think was pretty good timing. And then the planet is always something that I've been interested in. You and I had a conversation, I think, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, probably was even longer than that, about all the things that you can do at home, to give yourself that contribution to protecting the planet. And of course, we've just had the worst heat wave in London, like literally 2 weeks ago, which, if that's not a palpable moment to take stock of what we need to do. And I just love the fact that all those three things are really things that I didn't really realize were important to me, but you have just pulled them all together into one little group. And I just love that. So I think that's the main reason why. I think circumstance, but also just you and the way you delivered it and what you wanted to achieve. And I just loved being on that journey with you as well. So I go back to the initial point around the connectivity to something other than just my work and my children. I really was being quite pensive about what's my purpose in life? What do I wake up every day, and what do I want to achieve in the day? And I didn't really have anything outside of, well, I need to deliver these sales and that margin, and I've got to get the kids to that school and do this play group or whatever. And I never had any sort of purpose for myself, and I was becoming really conscious of it. So I wanted to join something that was going to give me something that was sat outside, but also recognize those other things in my life were actually quite an important thing. And I think that's something that Tribe's very good at, because it does link your work mindset into your sort of daily habits around how you look after yourself. So that was something that I really sought to look for, something that filled that gap. I also just generally didn't have any time for myself. I really didn't put enough time aside to read things I was interested in. I always felt compelled to read the next great book that, the New York Times had said, oh, everybody must read this. And, but those sorts of things they're quite superficial, and they make you feel good for, I don't know, a couple of days, but something, so the newsletters on Tribe, I always find you can just explore it, can't you? So you can just meander through it, and it's so lovely and easy on the eye and easy to read. And I after reading a couple of them, I was thinking, oh, this is really nice. This makes me feel actually happiness in more of a longevity perspective, rather than that short burst of reading this and doing that. And you know, so that's something that I've loved. And like I said, given me something else to focus on other than work. Work's obviously a huge part of my life because it pays for everything that we have. And my family are incredibly important to me for obvious reasons. But my children are now 12 and 13. They're moving away from that needing their mama, and actually they need their friends more. So I've suddenly found myself with this time that I didn't ever have before. And so the danger is that you fill it with something that's it's not going to benefit you long term. And so that's what I found that's how I was able to join Tribe. Probably 5 years ago, I wouldn't have joined, because I wouldn't have felt like I had that permission, even probably for myself to give myself that time. But so now I think for me, it's like the stars have aligned. So I've got it's just slotted in very nicely in my current life. So so the purpose thing, I think, is the biggest thing that I was seeking to find something to fill and give me a sense of waking up, right, I'm going to do this. You know, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I think is, right, I'm going to do my 50 minutes of yoga. I'm going to have my hot lemon. I'm going to just sit for 5 minutes. That's all. And sometimes I think about things. Sometimes I think, what am I grateful for? Because I don't always remember to do that. But I think that's their habits that take a long time to bed in. So you just got to keep at it every time. So yeah, and I feel great. On the days that I do it, I just feel so fantastic. Like you know, on the days I don't do it, I don't feel annoyed with myself, because again, that's something, you know, you've been quite vocal about, is don't let things like that annoy you. So what? Just start again, pick it up where you left off, or, you know, so I've stopped doing that, which is good. But I do love those days when I start the day off like that and you finish the day in a really great place as well. It's quite powerful actually when you set that time aside for yourself, because actually it does change your complete mindset, I find, for the whole day. I mean, literally fascinated when I heard you talk about your morning routine, and I was thinking, I have never even thought about having a morning routine. I have a nighttime routine, but I never thought about what a morning routine could look like. Because for me, it was getting up, get into the shower, get ready, and you leave for work, and that was it. And now I get up a little bit earlier, so that's the only drawback. But actually, when I was being honest with myself, those 50 minutes I got up earlier, I was actually awake anyway, but I was scrolling through my phone, reading the news and looking at Facebook and stuff. And actually, I don't do that now. I use those 50 minutes and I get up and I stick on my shorts and I go into the front room and I do my 15 minutes of yoga. As I said to you, make my, my water and hot lemon and just have that. I think it's 27 minutes from start to finish. And you just think, gosh, that's not a lot of time, really, is it, really, to set aside for yourself? So that's one of the things which has probably made the biggest impact on me. The second thing, you had a guy, I can't remember his name, who talked about bringing the outdoors inside, like having plants and how important plants are in and around your office space. I've got plants everywhere now. I've got a plant here. And actually, I love that concept, because we moved into a new house last year and we live in the back of a wood. So at every opportunity, I have the doors fully open and you can just hear things like parakeets. We had owls sitting on our bench the other night, like an owl, so that whole kind of inside outside, I've always loved that sense. So I found that piece. I was fascinated by it, absolutely fascinated. And actually I've put it on my watch list to watch again, because I want to watch it again. Sometimes when you see it the first time, you miss a few things. And then there was that lovely segment that you did around how you reuse things in the house every day. And I think it was old jars and creating these little jar things. and you can put food in it and take it to lunch. And I think did I even send you a picture once? I think I'd made yogurt with strawberries and I took it to work, and I felt so brilliant just getting it out of the fridge. First of all, it was really fresh. The strawberries, things stay much fresher in jars, in fridges, than they do in plastic containers. And then I took it home, and it just felt brilliant and cool and funky and quite, it has obviously really good for the planet because I wasn't bringing in anything plastic. So I've tried to do that a lot more, and just be a bit creative about, the stuff that you use about the house. So I think there's probably a lot more, but they were the three main things that if I was to tangibly say, these three things have made a massive difference to me. Where had I not joined Tribe, I probably would never have they wouldn't even have registered they wouldn't have been on my radar at all. And since the morning routine, I now ask everybody, what's your morning routine? I'm really interested. What do you do? Like I said to my chairman recently, we were at a social event. I said, so just what is your morning routine? And he has a morning routine. And I thought, that's insane. He has one as well. And his involves yoga, would you believe?